Geek Gamers here with something slightly different. This is going to be a slideshow talking about the Solo Adventurer's Toolbox, which is a solo RPG reference that is guided or keyed to D&D 5e, but I think it can be used with modification with mostly any other fantasy system. And I have only the PDF, so the best way I thought to show you parts of it would be through this slideshow. And we're looking here at the credits on the title page. This is mostly a collection of random tables, but there is a system built into it to allow you to create quests and to model something that would be more of a campaign kind of system. And I think the most important thing it offers for the solo RPG are the tables that will dictate NPC interaction and scaling depending on the number of adventurers and the experience level of your party, and also some of the monster interaction tables. This is a look at the table of contents. I'm not going to go through everything in the book here, and I think if you buy the book, the first thing to do is to go to chapter 18, because that is an example of a gameplay session, and the author walks you through the ways in which the tables and material and randomization can be used to do more than just roll on a table and do something, roll on a table and do something. And you'll see how it allows for a creation of a story and really trying to model some type of tabletop experience that you would have with a DM. You can see from the table of contents that there are many chapters that are simply just going to be random tables. You've got wilderness and urban. Of course, you have the dungeon. We'll look a little bit at the quest creator. That's chapter 7. And then what you would expect in terms of random dungeon, wilderness, and things like that. There is more in here than in some products I've seen, because there's a lot with creating towns and having merchants and shopping. And chapter 11, downtime activities, we're going to talk about a bit. That I think is an excellent addition that will allow you to interact with NPCs in the world that you are traveling through. The basic random mechanic that can be used is quite simple, familiar to any of us who do solo RPG work, and there are some modifications here to an essential yes-no question and rolling a d20 and coming up with a result. So this is fairly standard. It's not the only way of getting through the material when you come to a question in your story that can't be answered by a roll on a table. There's also a basic skill check chart that is included to help you gauge how you would determine the difficulty of a skill check in an encounter or situation, depending on what the encounter or the situation is. And you could really just use this if you wanted to keep things basically pretty light. I think the quest generator is very, very useful here, and I mentioned that just a moment ago. This is chapter 7, and it allows you to create a story that is a structure, a bigger structure for you, that will give things like rumors and missions and a larger sense of goals and accomplishments. Then sometimes it's easy to get stuck just doing another, well, I'll just go through a dungeon and kill a bunch of monsters. The quest generator here is very simple to use, and I'm not showing you all of it, but I think enough to get the point in terms of the tables that are provided, and there's much more than this to flesh out a larger story that you can be going through. And likewise, there are, depending on the environment or the terrain that you're in, ways of rolling on tables to get things like the weather or the number of encounters that you might want in the wilderness. And then there are many, many monster tables that will provide you with appropriate monsters for the environment that they're in. I'm just showing you one here. That's the coastal table. And you can see here on the right of the column the way in which this is very much keyed to 5th edition, because it actually tells you what page of the monster manual you would find this monster. So if you're playing this with 5th edition, it's perfect. If you're not, you can just modify this to whatever system you are using. Another great thing about it is that there are sections on scaling the encounters with the monsters and the NPCs, depending on the experience level of your party, how many people you have, and what is going on. And these I find very useful in terms of answering questions about making the difficulty level realistic but not totally overwhelming. And this is just a short sample of what these kinds of things are. Of course, there are the tables you would expect in terms of different types of encounters and randomly generated things like a tavern name, and these are, again, just a small sample of what is in the book. I think the book is about 167 pages or so. I can't remember, but there's quite a lot of material in the book, and this is just a sampling to get you to see what it offers. One of the great things is this downtime activities table. And what this shows you here are things that are available. I'm just showing you a small portion. It actually goes on to 2 pages. A small portion of various activities that you could do, what the result of that activity would be, and what the requirements would be for doing that activity. And then the last column there is the reference column, and you'll see where it says see below, the book has detailed explanation of what it would actually mean to do this activity. And this alone is fantastic because there are so many different options of things to do, and they are explained to you in terms of how you could actually have your character doing those things. Again, it provides a situation where there's much more that you can do with your character than just go through and kill some monsters. However, killing monsters, that happens, of course, and Chapter 15, I think, is one of the most useful chapters because what it does is allows you to manage the combat encounters and get a various monster response round by round. You can see in the lower right here the monster reaction table round by round. You can roll on it, and at the beginning of the encounter in the lower left there you can even see the monster intentions and the tactics table. I find this to be excellent and extremely handy because it can get to be a lot to manage the combat, so it isn't just like doing a roll, seeing your damage, they roll, you see their damage. This helps you envision something that is more three-dimensional and ultimately more narrative. This is a look inside the Solo Adventurers Toolbox. Again, the PDF is available at the DM's Guild. Unfortunately, there is not a print version available. I think that's disappointing and hope that maybe someday there will be. I don't know. I'm just saying I hope that. I have no knowledge that there will be, but it's a pretty lengthy product, so it would be nice to have it available to be printed out. And the author also has a Dungeons & Dragons Solo Adventures Facebook group that will discuss and solo RPGing. He has a lot of other products out there, but this one I think is extremely handy for solo RPGers, and I thank you for watching the channel. I invite you to subscribe for more solo-focused videos on RPGs, fantasy adventure board games, and of course general game discussion concepts. Thanks for watching.